Hi, welcome to the channel. So today I'm reacting to another Johnny Harris video. If you get a chance, please go check out his channel. He has a lot of great content. This is Inside the Most Prepared Country on Earth. This is all about how and why Finland is preparing for war against Russia. And because of the length of the video, I will be breaking it into two parts. Let's get to it.
I'm on my way to an army camp in the snow, here at the top of the world, where NATO troops are training in Arctic warfare, right here next to this long, snowy border with Russia. It's over 1,000 kilometers long, and it separates Finland from its neighbor, a country with 26 times the population of Finland. Finland also borders the Baltic Sea, where NATO has been clashing on the water with Russia's shadow fleet of ships. It's also squarely in the Arctic region, another newly vital geopolitical domain.
Just some quick context, but Russia actually only controls about 10% of the 5,000-mile or 8,000-kilometer Baltic coastline. 8 out of the 9 countries with the Baltic Sea coastline are actually NATO members, with the 9th being Russia.
This is a place where empires have clashed, and where they might clash again. Here's the gate to Russia, and it is totally closed. Let's see if I can get in. I'm in Finland to train with their army as they show their new NATO allies how to fight in the high north. I'm here to sleep in the snow, to witness and participate in the rigor of Arctic warfare. But I'm also here to go beyond the military, to get a closer look at this unique country, to understand how their past haunts them, and how these memories have caused this quiet and peaceful people to be constantly preparing for crisis and war. A vigilance, an awareness of threat that might actually explain why they are considered the happiest people on Earth now 8 years in a row. From the border with Russia to the many bunkers scattered throughout the country, you're about to see a pretty unique security situation, a strategy and a mindset born out of Finland's unique geography. So, I'm headed to a military base in the frozen north of the country to join over 1,000 troops in a live combat exercise in the snow. This will be the beginning of my quest to understand how this country is preparing and what they're preparing for.
Of course, there is cold, and then there is Arctic. You have to be sure that the trooper is able to survive in these circumstances.
Hey Felix. Johnny. Yes, nice to meet you.
This is Felix. He's a captain in the Finnish army who is a skilled outdoorsman. He has a master's degree in Arctic warfare.
And I know you like maps.
Yes, I do. Oh, wow, what a treat. Military maps. Wow, this is awesome.
Felix will soon be dropping me off in the middle of the snowy forest to fight and sleep with the troops in the snow. But first, there's a few important steps. First up, clothing. Here in northern Finland, the temperatures can get below -40 Celsius. The cold can be as deadly as any artillery cannon, if not more. So this huge warehouse is dedicated to proper clothing.
You have to sign these.
In the U.S. Army, we call buildings like that CIF, Central Issuing Facility. And just like the Finnish military and probably every other military in the world, you have to sign a hand receipt for everything. Because if you don't return it, then you're paying for it.
Large or medium?
I think medium.
Probably medium.
44? 44, yeah. This is all of my gear. This is like body armor, pad, rucksack.
That pad was probably a sleeping mat.
Everything in this big orange bag is soon going to be on my body. One way or another. 30, 40 pounds.
Time to get dressed. And even though I thought I knew how to put on clothes, I quickly get schooled on how this all works.
Does this go first?
No.
The measure first.
Okay, cool.
So it's all about
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's all about layers.
Yeah.
Did you get socks?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Only these. And then,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
First, these first and then this.
So
Yes,
the whole
yeah.
concept of this is like having layers
Yeah.
on you.
This,
No,
and
no,
then-
don't put the snow camo now. Next layer
next
on
layer
top, on top
after
of
this.
those.
Wow, it's a lot of gear. Go see what it's like to be an Arctic warrior.
It's hard to say just how many pounds he's actually wearing and carrying, but conservative estimate at least 40 to 50 pounds easily, especially if you consider the fact that he is wearing body armor, which may or may not have plates in them.
Next, we wander through the base, headed towards the mess hall. We grab lunch, which for me is just an opportunity to ask nonstop questions to Felix, who wrote his master's thesis on the future of Arctic warfare. And while he said he can't share it with me because it's classified, I'm still peppering him with loads of questions about what Arctic warfare is. Wandering throughout the base, I also get to catch up with the military leaders who direct this group of a few thousand Arctic soldiers called the Jaeger Brigade.
So his degree program for Arctic warfare, is that something that's actually offered through the Finnish military?
The Jaeger Brigade is the northernmost unit what the Finnish Defense Forces has.
As a deputy commander of Jaeger Brigade, of course, I have the feeling that we are Finnish Army the most skilled unit in these conditions.
I think Sweden and Norway could probably give them a run for their money. But yes, I think they are some of the best in these kind of conditions. Absolutely.
Next, it's briefing time. We head to the command center to get a rundown on what's going on here. This is Arctic Forge. It's a large-scale military exercise in the high north. It's a collaboration between the militaries of the US, Canada, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. It will include over 1,000 troops, all behaving as if they're in a real-world combat scenario. Over at a nearby airfield, the US Army's 11th Airborne Division has just landed, coming in from Alaska. They too are treating this like a real-world combat scenario, behaving as if they're quickly coming to the aid of Finland, who's just been attacked.
This is the situation where Finland is in trouble, Finland is in war, we need help, and now we are fighting together, defending Finland.
American troops will work together with Canadian and Finnish troops to learn how they fight here in the Arctic, something the Finnish army is expert at. The exercise will play out over this 40 square kilometer swath of snowy forest. The blue team will be comprised of Finnish troops with their new NATO allies from America and Canada, and they'll be trying to defend their territory. And on the other side is the red team that will be made up of a few hundred Finnish soldiers, acting as the invaders.
The red team is the opposition force, also called Op 4. And if you notice, they did not mention Sweden. So if I were to guess, they might be up in the air somewhere.
They'll be attacking, trying to take territory. This is the team that I will be on. And I didn't know this before I came, but they really have pulled out all the stops to ensure that this is as accurate to real warfare as possible. The blanks in these guns are wood-tipped to mimic the sound and kickback of a real bullet. And in addition to these ground forces that I'm embedding with, there's also units of tanks deployed in these woods, hiding in the brush and preparing an offensive maneuver. There's artillery cannons standing ready to fire simulated ammunition across the front line. There's surveillance drones in the air with thermal cameras trying to detect our position, and real fighter jets ready to drop simulated bombs if they see a target.
We are sending the message that we are defending Finland and the eastern border of NATO, and now we have also the Allies troops here to be part of that.
This multi-day exercise is about to begin, but first Felix wants to put me through some training. The conscripts here run through physically intense training, like this exercise where they run through a raging fire with all their gear and a gas mask on to simulate facing napalm or other incendiary weapons.
Is this training exercise for conscripts that have already graduated basic training?
They practice shooting, shooting on skis. But perhaps most importantly, they prepare to face the real killer up here.
There's cold and then there's Arctic.
Fighting in the Arctic means potentially falling into a river or one of Finland's nearly 200,000 lakes. So I'm about to get on some skis and fall into this river on purpose and then try to get myself out, all without panicking. So I have to make sure I'm calm before I dig myself out. Man, what have I got myself into?
Oh.
Good job. What's your name? What's your name?
Johnny Harris.
Stay down, stay down. What's your name?
Johnny Harris.
What's your job?
I am a video journalist.
How do you like Finland?
I love Finland.
Is it cold down there?
It is very cold down here.
Okay, you make it up.
I think the key thing is just not panicking, as he said.
All right, we're doing sprints now to warm up. That's the technique. Okay, we're warmed up. I'm half cold, half warm, but also kind of like feeling some endorphins after that cold water. That was freaking awesome. Wow.
I'm dressed and slightly warmed up. Now I'm gonna go learn how to make a fire. Felix shows me the ways and makes it look pretty easy. But now it's my turn.
You can cut this part out.
Let's see if I can get this thing to light. Nope. Man, you made it look so easy.
You're holding it wrongly.
Why is he wearing his gloves? Take your gloves off.
I am not going to survive the night.
Oh, this is hard. I'm determined to make this happen. Okay. Moment of truth here.
Take the rod a bit of.
Oh, yep.
You got
okay, okay, there we go.
More stuff, more birds.
There you go.
More birds bark.
Yeah, there she is. Cool, we got a fire, folks. It seems like a lot of these survival skills is about not panicking, keeping yourself calm, even when you kind of want to freak out.
In the U.S. Army, we typically will use generators which are run by gasoline, which then actually power our heaters. And only once have I ever seen a wood-burning stove. But for the majority of my field experiences in Germany, Georgia, and Colorado, we never had any kind of heat source at all. And we certainly did not learn how to make fire. But with that being said, even though Germany does get very cold and sub-freezing, it's still nowhere near as cold as Finland.
For US Army, in the tents, they mostly use gasoline, diesel heaters, propane or whatever.
Yeah.
And in Finland, all of our tents are basically heated up with firewood, with stoves.
I keep having to remind myself that there's 5 million people in this country. Like, that's the size of like the state of Oregon, and yet you guys have this military that like people come to learn from. It's pretty impressive. Do you feel proud of that?
Of course, we don't have the budget to be like a full-scale, huge army. We have the conscript service. Thank God we have stick to that. Most of the men have been through conscript service, have a wartime duty, know how to use guns, know how to ski. Like the whole thing is embedded in the Finnish society.
Yeah.
That if the bell rings, we're gonna take up arms and do our job to keep the Finland independent.
The combat exercise has started. Felix has dropped me off with one of the soldiers who's taking me towards the front line. We're now deep in the forest. I arrived to this readiness unit of this Arctic platoon, and they're getting ready to deploy, to mount their offensive, to try to take this nearby hill by force. NATO troops will be trying to defend it. These guys are the tip of the spear for the Finnish army, and we're about to see how they work. We're getting ready to go to the front line and do this offensive. Every weapon is actually linked to a system that calculates the damage that it would do and where it would hit. The planners of the exercise can assess how each team is doing. They can see where artillery fire is going, who's shooting who, how many casualties.
It seems like it's a much more high-tech version of Miles gear.
We're plowing through this forest in a BV. It's a carrier vehicle that brings troops through the forest without the need of roads.
Does Sweden also have these same vehicles?
They seem to be able to move through anything. Okay, we're on the front line here, right where we believe the enemy position is, and we're going to get our skis on and start moving into the enemy's territory to attack.
The Red Force, which is mainly or almost all are Finnish conscripts, they are starting to advance, attack. They are not typical conscripts, they are our best conscripts. And they know that on the opposite side there is US professional soldiers. They are eager to show to US soldiers what they can do and eager to win.
All the guys start to get ready to do this maneuver. The drone is about to take off, snowmobiles. There's the comms guy with his big radio over here. We're mobilizing here. This is...
Can somebody tell me why that soldier's tripod or bipod had a white cloth at the bottom?
Arctic warfare.
Beautiful.
So we're moving through this forest right now, clearing this area. We're on the front line, so we may encounter someone from the other side. If these guys are ready, making this offensive happen, waiting, moving into this enemy territory. Shots ring out from a firefight that is happening from another unit on the front line.
Why are they not wearing iPro?
As you can hear, furthermost squad around the objective area is currently in a gunfight. Just hang back.
Okay.
And let them do their thing.
Okay.
In the U.S. Army, we would have to be wearing iPro. And what are those stickers on his back? And why is that guy sitting? Okay, so I think that white tape or tags are just to kind of try to camouflage his bag a little bit. But why aren't they all doing that?
We're
like
close
that guy.
to our target. And then, a few meters later, okay, there's a firefight going on up here. We're gonna go give them some backup.
Quick detail I want to point out to you guys, but as they were actually in the standing firing position, they actually had a hold of both of their ski poles. And the reasons for that are probably because, one, you want them close at hand in case you have to move, and two, they might actually be able to provide some sort of bipod support to help you fire better.
My unit wins this firefight within 20 minutes. We've captured these troops. It's a unit mostly made up of American Army troops.
The guys will check your gear and see if you have anything we might have interest in.
These American troops came here to train with the Arctic war experts and are finding all kinds of surprises. The first of which is just how to move through such deep snow.
He was like shaking about this deep. I'm like, all right, I'll be okay. And I go about this deep, and I'm like, damn.
And even though they're technically supposed to be enemies on the battlefield, the soldiers can't help but start talking shop.
Pad 7's a little smaller, but yeah, you get thermal, you get day, you get zoom, you get lasing grids. Pretty good stuff.
Earlier, when I was back on the base, I caught up with another group of US soldiers in the cafeteria.
The Finns are masters of skiing. So they're able to basically use the terrain to their advantage.
The field craft of it is the most interesting part of it. That's one thing you can really learn a lot from the Finns, because there's like the United States Army way of doing things, technology, and this, like in environments like this, what's old is new.
So a quick few things about his uniform, but I believe that it's a command sergeant major, And you can see that he has a Ranger tab on his left sleeve, which does not mean that he was actually a Ranger or was a part of 75th Ranger Regiment. What that does mean is that he actually went to Ranger School and passed and actually earned that tab.
Oh, this stuff works. And so being able to learn those lessons is critical.
So through this sneaky offensive, we captured this hill, completing our objective for the morning. All of this is being updated on a live map back at HQ. The day continues with more operations and fighting all over this battlefield.
99% of the time, it is required that U.S. soldiers have iPro while doing an FTX. So I'm very surprised that those captured soldiers were not wearing iPro.
But we're in the high north. The days are short here, and soon the sun is going down.
So I get to sleep out in the snow tonight. A little candy bar for the cold night.
These are the worst conditions to sleep in. Maybe the worst possible weather to sleep in a snow that he's gonna be doing.
Night has fallen, and I'm riding back to camp on a snowmobile. We have our headlights turned off, and we're navigating with night vision. There are drones and jets in the air. They'll be able to see us if we create too much light or heat. Still in combat mode, and because we're already so deep in this forest, we're gonna camp out here. Here in the tense darkness, I get briefed by our unit leader.
The situation is as follows. So we have our basic defensive posture. Squads are scattered around there in the wilderness. Right now we are making preparation to move into the cold base.
Cold base. That doesn't sound very comfortable. I learned that this means we need to sleep in the snow to make our shelters as cold as possible to avoid being detected by the infrared heat sensors from the drones overhead.
The company commander's intent is to divert the enemy recon with this move. So we will leave our hot tents, move further into the woods.
The problem is, I have no idea how to build the ice shelter that I'm supposed to sleep in tonight. I'm told that step one is to put on my skis and start packing the snow down.
I really have to go to the company command post to get my orders, so I will see you in a couple of hours.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
At this point, despite the instructions I've been given, I still feel out of my depth. Luckily, another conscript wanders over to help.
Hello.
Hi.
We haven't met yet.
Hi, I'm Johnny.
Nice
to meet you. How are you doing today?
Very nice.
After about 45 minutes of stomping on this snow, we start cutting the packed snow into cubes. These will be like bricks we use to build the walls of my shelter. While we're building, we get talking about what it's like to be in this unit that is the first to go into conflict.
How do you feel about that? Is that kind of make you nervous, or?
No, it's just our job to do.
Yeah.
Protect our country. Yeah.
All right, we've got ourselves a nice looking shelter here. It's coming together.
Can I offer you a piece of Finnish?
Oh, of course. Thank you so much. Wow. That'll warm me up. Oh, wow, it's so good.
Best chocolate in the world.
It really seems like it. Wow. Cool. I've got a place to sleep. Okay, the snow shelter is finished. Who knew I could make a snow shelter? There it is. This is my shelter. Okay, little update. It's now after midnight, and the platoon leader has woken me to tell me that my shelter does not disguise well enough because the tarp kind of sticks out and my thermal signature will be picked up by infrared drones. So we have been up cutting down trees with big branches and putting them on my roof, and then putting the tarp over that so that it's more supportive so I can pile it full of snow, and then branches on top of that snow. So I've done that for the last hour, and now my shelter is very well disguised from both optical and infrared sensors, and I can go back to bed. The problem is, my shelter now looks like this. All the trees that I had to put on it are now poking down into the shelter, and I'm gonna have to sleep among them. As I close my eyes, just out of reach of the pine needles, this is where I'm sleeping, here in my ice tree cave. See you tomorrow.
As much as I hated the cold, one thing that I did learn from my months and months of field time in the cold in Germany is how to sleep in the cold and stay warm. With that being said, I've never had to sleep on the snow before.
I'm exhausted, and as I fall asleep, I get the feeling that I'm glimpsing something important and old. Not just a military exercise, but an old tradition, a mindset that you can really only understand if you know Finland's unique story. Finland is stuck between East and West. They were ruled for centuries by Sweden. Then they were conquered and annexed by the Russian Empire in the early 1800s. During that time, Russia tried to stamp out Finnish culture, tried to turn this land and its people more and more Russian, but they resisted. And then, in the early 1900s, Russia descended into a chaotic revolution that threw out the monarchy and eventually gave rise to the first ever large-scale communist system. This would become the Soviet Union, the largest country on Earth, spanning 11 time zones. And right here, little Finland took advantage of the chaotic revolution next door, and they broke free. They declared independence. It got ugly for a few years, there was a bitter civil war, but eventually Finland emerged as a whole independent country. But the threat didn't go away. The Soviet Union wanted to take back land that they believed belonged to them, but soon they'd find themselves in competition with another growing empire. At first, Stalin and Hitler wanted to avoid war with each other, so they signed a pact, promising not to fight one another. But then they secretly agreed to give each other spheres of influence into which the other wouldn't invade. On the list of countries that were fair game for Stalin and his Soviet Union was Finland. So just as the winter of 1939 was descending onto Europe, hundreds of thousands of Soviet troops flooded across this long border into Finland.
That became something called the Winter War, and it was actually started by a false flag operation by the Soviet Union that I think Russia just recently admitted to in the last decade or so.
They had tanks and air power, and they were fighting against a much smaller and weaker Finnish army. But despite this, the Finns fought back. Their knowledge of this terrain and their ability to blend into these forests, to slip through them on skis and quietly camp out here in negative 40-degree weather, their attitude of resilience, their commitment to defending their land, all of this allowed them to punch above their weight in what is now known as the Winter War. And they lost territory in this war, but not as much as they should have. They were able to maintain their country and their independence.
One of the biggest losses for Finland in terms of land after this war was an area, I think it's called Kerala. And even today, some of the older generations still feel the heartbreak of having to leave their home.
Soon, World War II would engulf this whole continent into war, genocide, and conquest. That spheres of influence agreement between the Soviets and Germany was broken when Germany started conquering East. This is when Finland saw a chance to win back some of their strategic land that they had lost, and they made a difficult choice, accepting troops and supplies from the Nazi regime and going on the offensive against the Soviet Union to get their land back. It was a strategic move in a brutal war, but one that put Finland in a compromising position of aligning with a genocidal regime. With the help of the Nazis, Finland got their land back, and then some. But eventually the Soviets and their Western allies started winning the war, beating back the Nazis. The Soviets then turned their attention back onto the Finns and pushed them back to here. The Soviets made Finland pay them back, made them accept responsibility for the war, and acknowledge that Finland had allied with the Nazis. They were also required to remove German troops from Finland, which they eventually did, though they had to use force to do this in a short conflict in Lapland.
In between the Winter War and the Lapland War, there was also a war called the Continuation War.
By 1945, the devastating World War was over, and Finland somehow remained intact, having paid a heavy price, and coming out of all of this with some serious lessons learned, a traumatic memory imprinted on this nation.
So I've said it before and I'll say it again, but Finland teaming up with Germany during the Second World War was about self-preservation. It was not about sympathizing with the Nazis. It was about the enemy of my enemy is also my friend. Anyway, once I film part 2, I'll put it right here. And right here will be a video about the Winter War, or it will be about one of the most famous and successful snipers in the world, White Death.